Welcome to the Principal Podcast, where we talk about how the best professional services firms grow. Whether you're looking to scale your firm or learn from the stories of founders and leaders who've done it, you're in the right place. Join us as we interview the best leaders in professional services. Let's get on with the show.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today we have the opportunity to speak with Mike Kozlik, who's the president of Advantage Resources. He's been involved in 20 years there of helping businesses, I like this, be more efficient, more effective, and more profitable. If you can do all three of those mores, you're doing a darn good job. So, Mike, thanks for being on the show today. Really appreciate you joining us. The first thing I always like to find out from someone is, with a diverse background such as yours, being in the Army, in the military, then getting into the civilian sector and into consulting, tell me, how was that journey? How did it all come about? And what was your story to start your company?
Well, Dennis, thanks for having me today, first of all. I actually began my business when I returned from my last mobilization in 2006. Originally, I was more of a consultant, and I helped 8A businesses capture government work, since I was intimately familiar with government contracting from both sides of the fence.
Right.
I then decided I could help other business capture new work, and I expanded the business development for small privately owned businesses that were not necessarily trying to capture government work. And then it evolved from there into more of a business owner coaching service, where I could help a number of businesses simultaneously by leading, teaching, coaching, and training and mentoring the owners to help them craft their path forward.
Do you think your military background and your leadership role played a part in that?
Oh, I think so. Being in the military and being in business are the same thing with a different suit. You have organizations, and you have goals and objectives, and you have means and resources that you have to apply as efficiently as you can within a structure to get to those goals and objectives. So, my 32 years in the military gave me a great foundation for understanding how to make all that work, and in complex situations and in difficult situations. So, yeah, I think that was instrumental in why I do what I do, and as successful as I've been doing what I do.
Before I go any further, I want to thank you for your service, by the way.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
what specific problem do you feel you go into a company and help them solve? But more importantly, why is that important to you, Mike?
That's actually a great question. Generally, when I begin working with a business owner, they have some particularly nagging problem. It usually is it's not enough business or not enough new business.
Right.
So initially, we focus on building a business development process that can deliver consistent and predictable results. Simultaneously, we are building a strategy to grow the business. I liken it to a blueprint. It's not really strategy. It's not like the invasion of Europe on D-Day. It's a blueprint. A simplified, easy to understand plan that takes the business to the next level and beyond, and at the same time creates and implements what I call the 4 foundational processes into their business that they will forever be able to function with. Now, for me, helping a business owner become more successful by overcoming a challenge that has been vexing them, and then to see the look of relief and satisfaction on their face when things are finally beginning to turn around, it helps me get out of bed in the morning. To be honest with you, that I get a nice check on the first of the month from Uncle Sugar, so I'm not trying to buy an island in the Caribbean with what I'm doing. I would
Right.
rather help business owners kind of ring that bell, not once but consistently and continuously.
I read about your B3 game plan. What is that, Mike?
So the B3 game plan is kind of a compilation of all the things that I have been doing with my clients for the last 20 years. It incorporates, how to set your business up. It incorporates the 4 foundational elements and how to build them and how to implement them. And then it kind of closes with the 4th element, which is leadership, which we call the glue. It's the thing that makes everything else happen. Without leadership, as opposed to management, and I make a point in the process and in the program, as a matter of fact, the program is called You Manage Things, You Lead People.
I
That
like that.
if your leadership is proper and it's functioning the way it should be, it makes all the other functions work simultaneously together better. And so uh, that is kind of like the nexus of what it is that I do in the B3 game plan. Kind of just, and I don't sell that book. Okay, that's the second book I wrote. I use that book with my clients, kind of like a Boy Scout handbook, a go-to reference. It gives them some sense of context when we're talking about something. They could have read about it before we talk about it, or they could read about it after, to give some theoretical construct to what it is we're physically doing, so they understand the why. And that's what I kind of use the B3 game plan for. Is kind of like, just this is what we're doing and this is why.
You know, what's important is very similar. I mean, I have a company and I do sales training and management development in the mortgage and finance related industry and real estate. And one of the critical parts of any discussion with a new potential client is what you're going to cover with why you're covering. So it's a what with a why. And you doing it on a similar nature, different industry, obviously, and it all pertains and relates. Um, I've been involved in selling and training for over 50 years. So I've seen a lot of different things come and go, but I can tell you you're on the right path for sure. And I like what you're doing. So tell me a little bit about your clients in terms of when you go after a customer, what's your ICP, Mike? Who's your ideal client profile that you want to work with?
Well, that's a great question, because it's the number one thing that I have to um, help my clients understand in their own world. So in my world, my focus has been on the privately owned business that feels it's either plateaued or growth stalled, or it's not what the owner wants it to be. And those businesses are commonly called small businesses. But if you own a business, you know that there is no such thing as a small business if you're a business owner.
Right.
But my ideal client would be a business owner who is bound and determined to change what's going on in their business, and recognizes simultaneously they might need some help and a little outside perspective to get there. So for me, the size of my business doesn't matter. The only hard and fast criteria is that the business must be privately owned, and I work
Okay.
exclusively with the business owner. And it's the business owner who makes the decision to whether to work with me or not.
Okay. So there's not a committee and there's not a bunch of people and
No.
who has to get through. You're not messing with that stuff. I get it. I like that. It's clean. And when you do that, so a size of a company could have 10 employees, could have 500. That doesn't matter. It's privately held and you work directly with the business owner. Would I be
Right.
correct?
And a lot of times they ask me to help them with some of their direct reports. Now, most of the clients that I've had have never had more than, 70 or 80 employees. That's the biggest client I've had.
Okay.
But even at that point, there are times when the business owner feels that they need someone. They don't have the ability to teach, coach, train, and mentor someone in some area. And a good example of that is a lot of business owners are just don't feel that they're comfortable with or good at what most people would call sales. I don't call it that. Um, and they asked me to help the person that is designated to bring more new clients in the door. Sometimes I do that. So I have to be working with the business owner primarily, because if we're not strategically creating the conditions for success, nothing I do with any direct report below him, regardless of what their function is really going to have any impact at all. So
Correct.
it's kind of one of those deals.
So when you look at how people hear about Advantage Resources, let's go over the different ways clients might be attracted to you. Obviously, the best and one that hits home is referrals. People who've utilized your services, had a great experience, positive gain from what you did, and they can be referenced to go talk to them by you, or they send a client referral, or that person who you worked with leaves and goes to another company, and obviously they go, hey, I'm going to bring Mike in. The second one could be an email campaign, a Google campaign, or you go through social media, the different methodologies, so LinkedIn, et cetera, in the business world, seminars that you might speak at or conventions you attend or go to, Or you might even be doing stuff like podcasting or your books that you've talked about. Which of those yields the highest return for you in general?
Well, I'm a little bit different than your average consultant, and that's mostly because I'm not a consultant.
Mhm.
Um, the all of those things are elements that have to be baked into a business development process. And what I teach my clients is that you have to have more than one iron in the fire simultaneously. Eventually, one of them is going to get hot enough to brand, but you can't be a one trick pony. You can't live on referrals, and you
Right.
can't live on social media, and you can't live on a single way of doing things. What I tell my clients is when we build a business development process, that's going to be tailored to their business, their product, their service, their market, their ideal customer. It has to have different elements. So my clients discover me through all of those ways that you just discussed. They
Okay.
see a post on social media, they reach out. They
Okay.
attend one of my monthly business owner workshops, and then they reach out. I've even had a couple of clients who heard me on some podcast I was on or some radio talk show and called me and said, I have this problem. I want to learn more about how to deal with it. But you have to be able to craft a couple of different ways to position your product or service, your business in the market, get the attention of people that need your product or service.
Right.
And you have to do that a couple of different ways simultaneously. If you don't, if you're a one trick pony, you're not going to make it. You're just not going to make it.
I would
And I
totally
tell my
agree.
clients, I tell you what, most of my small business clients tell me that most of their business comes through just referrals. And what I tell them is, well, that means that you and your business are in ICU. You got tubes up your nose, and they called the priest to give you last rites. Because
You
if
better
that's
pray
what
for
you're
divine
living on,
intervention. Exactly.
yeah, if that's what you're living on, your business is not going to survive. So
Obviously,
you have to have all those things and a lot of others as well. But small businesses can't do everything. So we pick the things that have the highest impact. And when I say impact, they have the biggest potential for bringing people to that business to, if nothing else, to ask questions about, does your product do this? Can I do that? Blah, blah, blah.
correct. All right. Oh, so when you do all those, obviously you're diverse in what you do, and you tell your clients to be by far very diverse in their method of marketing. Let's talk about internally. You have only, it sounds like, which you've kind of streamlined, which I like a bunch. You don't have a lot of decision influence. You have a decision maker that you deal with, so you don't have to worry about going through the organization necessarily and selling to different levels within that organization, which makes things a lot easier in the end. I like that it's clean. So when you look at retention strategy, so you've got a client, they've utilized your services, and now they're at a point where either you had a contract for a statement of work or a 3-month, 6-month annual period, time's coming up. How do they measure the metrics of your performance to renew a contract or to keep working with you?
Well, we use a variety of different metrics and the metrics are not about what I do. It's about the systems that we build and put in place and how well they're working. So one of the things I do with my clients is, we create KPIs, and they're not your standard garden variety business school or MBA KPIs. I
Okay.
focus on helping business owners find what I call lead indicator KPIs. And what that means is, well, a KPI will tell you when something didn't work, but that's too late to do anything about it. So a lead indicator
What do you mean?
KPI is something that you could be looking on a regular cyclical basis that will show a trend far enough out that you can take action now to adjust what you're doing, how you're doing it, where you're doing it, when you're doing it, whatever, in order to get back on track towards the objective that you stated. So that's the first thing. We do lead indicator KPIs. But in reality, my clients stay with me because they trust me. They trust my logic. They see the value in my background, my experience, the things that I help them see I don't ever tell my clients what to do. Number one, I'm not a consultant. And I think I've said that before. I'm a coach. And so I'm going to show them different ways to achieve whatever it is they want to achieve. And they're going to select the way that fits them, the way that fits their business, the way they're comfortable with. And we're going to try to put that in place so it delivers whatever the objective is. So I am mentoring my business owners, my clients, into finding ways to accomplish things, to adapt, to improvise, and to overcome when things don't work the first time. And I tell them they never will. You could be living right next door to a competitor that's the exact same business, working the exact same market, has the exact same capabilities, and you both can put the same thing in place, and one works and one doesn't. Why? Lots of thousands of reasons, but the objective is not to worry about the why. The objective is to figure out, well, what is not working? How do we modify it so it does work for me and my business and my market and my clients? So that's kind of an important aspect. And when we do that, you build trust because they say, well, I would never have thought of that. And now I have, he's given me an idea. We ran with it and we're seeing some success. And that's what keeps them with me.
There you go. And by managing the variables, which are going to change with every client you work with, which makes it fun getting up in the morning and doing your job, as you mentioned, I think it's crucial that we all, when we're in our role of coaches, consultants, whatever the phraseology is, and I like coaches by far, you really have to have an impact. And by measuring the impact, you see it in their company's results, not necessarily your measurable results, but their results. So do they set their goals with you, Mike, of what they want to get out of the engagement?
Yes, we do that in the beginning. I probe fairly deeply for what their expectations are.
Okay.
And I learned that over time because, as a coach, what I have to do often is crawl over cracked glass because somebody that called themselves a coach and wasn't, put a bad taste in this prospect's mouth. They didn't deliver what they were supposed to deliver. And most of the time, I find that the prospect that I'm talking to did not clearly articulate what their expectations were. And then when things didn't happen the way they thought they were supposed to happen in the back of their mind, then they blamed the consultant or the coach and blah, blah, blah. So I go through a great deal of peeling the onion to make sure that I understand what my prospect or my client's expectations are. And then I tell them, this is what we're going to do. This is what I'm going to do for you. This is what my deliverables are to you. And I'm not going to bring 12 new clients in the door in the next 6 months. You are. I'm not going to, have the number one brand recognition for customer service in my market. You are. I'll show you ways to do that. You pick what it works for you. And we'll then the most important thing that I bring to the table is once they've established their goals,
right?
Once that we have kind of laid out the path how to get there, and they've committed to, I'm going to do this and I'm going to have this done and this is my objective, then my job is to keep them accountable to those decisions. And a lot of my clients, if you ask them, would tell you, I'm like a rabid Rottweiler. I'm like a dog on a pork chop. I stay on them until they get whatever they said was the most important thing that they needed to get done. Sometimes we have very testy conversations when they're procrastinating, when they get smacked in the face with the tsunami of now every morning, and they're making, what I call pukey excuses. This is a strategic thing. This is not a tactical thing. You're the owner of the company. You're the senior leader. You've got to sit there and either make time or find time to do these strategic things that move your business forward. If you get ate up with the tsunami of now doing busy work, the minute you walk in every single day, you're going to be exactly where you are right now, 12 months from now, 2 years from now,
right.
10 years from now, if you last that long. And so we lay out the plan. They articulate what their expectations are as for working together. Then we talk about what are the objectives. We start with the end in mind. How do you want to leave this place? How do you want to exit your business? And then we backwards plan from there. Again, there's a little bit of military background in there. We always start with the end state and we backwards plan to where we are right now so we don't miss anything. And that's what I
Makes
help
sense.
people understand.
It's very thorough and obviously very complete. There's a saying in sales, never be satisfied with results. You have to manage activities to get results. And if you manage activities, results will occur. But people get so enamored with, oh my God, I did $2 million last month, or I did $4 million for the last 2 months. The problem with that scenario is that what were the activities you did that generated it? If you don't replicate that on a consistent basis, you're not going to succeed. And so yours is very structured in the activity that they need to do if they want X result. And I like the way you backwards plan it. That's very clever. We do that a lot in sales goals for an annual period of time.
I
So
mean, you
let's-
just break it down into small, little bite-sized parts, and it's a
Mhm.
lot easier to see that you can accomplish whatever goal or objective that you laid out, even if you didn't accomplish it before. But now you're slicing and dicing this thing, and you're putting things in the proper order. Some things have to go before others. I call them enabling tasks. They have to
Right.
happen before some bigger thing happens, because otherwise the bigger thing is never going to happen.
Gonna
And
happen,
many
yeah.
business owners have no idea about that, none whatsoever.
That's for you and I. That's shocking. How did they ever get by without you being there? As you sit back and you look sometimes and go, oh my gosh. But anyway, let's talk about where you see challenges ahead, Mike. As you look at currently 2026 going into the next 2-3 years to the 2030, where do you see the biggest challenges in your business growth today?
Well, as with any business owner, our biggest challenges are time and time management.
Okay.
There are always more things that need to be done and not any more time to do them. You have all the time in the world. They aren't going to manufacture any more time. So how you use it, that is what is critical. But becoming very good at prioritizing so the most important things get done first, then the next, then the next, then the next, is essential to success on any business, mine, my clients, any business. You can't do everything, and you certainly can't do everything all at once. So you have to get good at deciding what is the most critical task right now, and then what's the next one, and what's the next one. And by doing that, you will overcome many of the challenges that I see every single day. Every business owner I talk to seems to have the same finite set of challenges, but they don't know how to overcome them. They don't know how to put, the right thing first, and then the next, and then the next. And because of that, they get hit with the urgency of now, and that causes them to never accomplish anything.
Coaching them through that obviously is a critical component to having success. But when you look at opportunities, not only for yourself, but for your clients you work with, where do you see the biggest opportunities in the next 2 to 3 years?
That's a very important question. So, being a graduate of the U.S. Army War College, I feel I know a little something about how to develop strategy. That means I sort of know how to look over the horizon a little bit. So there are a lot of privately owned businesses in all stages of development. And there is going to be absolutely an incomprehensible amount of opportunity for any business that can provide their product or services in the most efficient manner possible. Today's business owners will have a lot of technology to help them, where business owners as little as 5 years ago, and myself included, didn't have nearly the capability as we have available to us today.
Correct.
So businesses that leverage these technologies and become expert in their use, such as AI, for example, in all aspects of growing their business, they'll be the ones that succeed exponentially in comparison with their competitors who don't take the time to learn how to use those systems to their advantage. And that's what Advantage Resources is all about. So there's a lot of opportunity. You just have to be willing to spend some time identifying it and identifying how to capture that opportunity as efficiently as you possibly can.
You think about it, I thought we were going to get through 30 minutes without the two letters A and then I being uttered, but you did bring it into play.
I
But
mean,
the-
it is essential.
But appropriately so. Oh, it's critical. It's a massive tool that if we know how to use it, funnel it, harness it, and then do what you need to do with it, but it's not going to replace you. It's going to supplement and complement you. And when people finally get over that anxiety or fear that it's a replacement tool or something that maybe make them obsolete in certain areas, it's not. It's just a
Yeah.
tool.
I
And
tell all my clients, it is a tool. And just like a lot of my metaphors with my clients has to do with building, building a building.
right,
It is another tool in your toolbox. And you have to be able to apply it the way it's designed to be applied for it to be effective. For example, you can't hammer a nail into the wall with a screwdriver. You can try, but then your walls look like, my walls. So you want to make sure that you're leveraging the capability of various different tools. 10 years ago, the internet was just like this some fanciful thing. Now, if you don't have a website, if you don't have presence on social media platforms, if you don't have a business Google profile, you can't be found. You can't be found. No one's going to do work with you.
correct.
5 years ago, 10 years ago, that didn't matter. You had a website, you were the cool kid on the block. It wasn't essential. But today, without it, the first thing people do is say, "Hey, I want to find out more about this Advantage Resources Mike guy." And so what do they do? They're going to
Yeah,
Google me.
yeah,
All right.
exactly.
As I tell my clients, go giggle me. So, and what you'll find is you'll find references to my 2 books. You'll find references to my company. You'll see the link to Advantage Resources. You'll see my profile. You'll see my background. You'll see I have a LinkedIn profile. You'll see I have a LinkedIn business profile. Without that, no one would even spend a nanosecond on me because I'm not real at that point. Without it, you're not real. 10 years ago,
Right.
no.
You're
Today,
exactly right.
you're not in the world if you're not there. AI is going to be the internet 10 years from now. It's going to be like the internet was 10 years ago. It's going to be the essential tool for how do I do this? And we use it with our clients right now.
Yeah.
And now, granted, we're not using the super high end stuff. We're doing things like, I'm in this market, I do this, tell me what the 10 best, search words are. And then, how do we integrate that into the content on their posts and websites
Yep.
and stuff?
It's amazing what it can do, but again, it still requires us to drive that bus. And if we are the ones, so that's what's critical. Mike, our time is up. I really enjoyed the conversation. I hope you have as well. I do want to share with the audience, so what's the best way to reach you? You just shared some different ways, obviously to Google, but please share your LinkedIn and your website, if you wouldn't mind, with our audience.
Okay, so by email, the best way to get me is Mike AdvantageResourcesInc.com.
Okay.
So
Mike at AdvantageResourcesInc.com.
Right. My phone number that anybody can call me. I'm not a multinational corporation. My cell phone is 205-332-5524.
Good enough.
They can set up an appointment with me by talking to my AI receptionist, Kate. They can call 256-521-5647, and she'll walk you through the process of setting up a one-to-one strategy call with me. We'll talk about what your number one biggest pain in the butt is right now. And, we'll try to figure out 1 or 2 things you can do to overcome that challenge as quickly as you can. You can look up my name on LinkedIn, Facebook. You can look up Advantage Resources on both those places, and you'll see. And my website is www.advantageresourcesinc. That's inc.com. So if there was,
I think that may be as comprehensive as anyone I've interviewed with the details of different methodologies to reach you. I love it, Mike. Thorough all the way to the end. 205.
I can't help them.
Is that 205? Is that Alabama, Birmingham?
That's Alabama. That's Birmingham. Yes.
I do know my area codes. All right, Mike, I really enjoyed the conversation. I hope you have as well. Have a wonderful day and good luck with your business.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Principal Podcast. We hope you've learned valuable lessons and strategies to grow your firm and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.